Hello and welcome to the Ropescast, the voice of the Middle East. I'm Ksenia Svetlova. ROPE stands for the Regional Organization for Peace, Economics and Security. We are a young organization that works to lay the groundwork for a post-conflict Middle East by connecting forward-thinking Israelis, Palestinians, and Middle Eastern leaders from all across the region. We share a holistic vision for the Middle East, where everyone has more to win from conflict resolution and peace and integration than to lose. If you are looking for more information on ropes, please visit our website, ropes.org. Today, in the new episode of Ropecast, we are hosting a very special guest and a dear friend, Linda Menuhin, an Iraqi-born Israeli journalist, editor, and blogger. Menuhin was a refugee to Israel in the 70s and has been nicknamed the Anne Frank of Iraq. We will, of course, discuss, this intriguing name that she got. She previously served as head of the Middle East desk and commentator on Arab affairs on Arabic television in Israel. And also she was a subject of the excellent 2013 Israeli documentary film, Shadow in Baghdad. Dear Linda, thank you so very much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Ksenia, always.
We know each other for quite some time. I think we first met at the Knesset.
Absolutely. When you took the initiative of screening Shadow in Baghdad, I won't forget that gesture.
It's very important. And, I did all of that because out of belief that Israelis should know more about the history of Jews from Arab and Islamic country. And in the end, understanding this history can connect us better to the Middle East and to our neighbors, to nations all across, the region, those who are closest to us and those who are further away.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
So, Linda, it's a really pleasure always to talking to you. But for those who still do not know you, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born, and under what circumstances did you leave Iraq, your native country?
Yeah, I was born in Baghdad, 1950. By the time I was born, most of my relatives registered to leave Iraq because there was a law that was taken by the Iraqi parliament. Whoever wants to leave to young Israel can do so, and then afterwards, all their assets were confiscated. So anyway, I was born really in a different Baghdad than my mother has grown up in it. It was a lovely childhood that I remember. My father was a lawyer. He was very popular among his Muslim friends. He always had them over coming to us, or he went out with them because in Iraq, men went out separately, not taking women with them when they were meeting at the coffees in Baghdad. So all I remember is that I really had a lovely childhood. I went to a Jewish school. The bus was coming to pick us up. I went to learn ballet. Many are surprised to hear because Jews were really ahead of, all the communities regarding literature, regarding languages. So all of them, were engaged in learning English, French, not only Arabic, and yet their Arabic was very good. Iraqi Jews are very well known for their Arabic language, al-Fusha. So all I can remember really, I was in my street only, there were at least 10 Jewish families in Baghdad. So still after 130,000 Jews left, Jews were still living in a small community around 5,000 people at that time. And we had many facilities that kept us really together and alive.
And the 50s, it was a difficult time. It was also a time when many Jews left and repressions started against, the Jewish families. So how did it happen that you only left later and not in the beginning of the 50s?
Well, this is a very good question. I can tell you that my mom told me that she sold all the furniture of the house. She was a young married, they were a young married couple, my parents. They were married in 1949. So all her family, apart from her parents, left. She has five sisters and one brother, and only two stayed in Iraq and the rest left. So she felt, that she doesn't want to be the last Jew in Baghdad. So she sold everything, but then letters from her sisters and from other relatives started to get to Baghdad and saying that conditions were very, very harsh in Israel. So they just told them not to come. And so my mom bought again her furniture and arranged the house because she knew that it wasn't a good time. And my father wasn't really very enthusiastic when everybody rushed to leave because he thought we have a little child. And from the point of his career, he was just starting to gear. So for him, it was really a great opportunity. And he was always optimistic. So at the end, in 1958, when I was only 8 years old, the first revolution broke out, and I still remember that I was outside when you could see the army outside the house, to and forth, and the rumors were talking about the prime minister of Iraq. He was very famous, Nouri Said, was trapped, and he has disguised in a woman's attire. But immediately, it was fear. And I cannot forget how my father had a very high-ranking judge in Iraq. He called my father and told him, because he was afraid that we will have a same scenario of the pogrom in 1941 when the mob would attack Jews. He told him, please bring
The Farhud event.
The pogrom. So he told my father, don't worry, bring your family and come, you will be safe with us. So this is a nice gesture to remember. And from then, obviously, political upheavals went on and on. 1963, I remember I was only 13 when the door of our house was shaken, and it was after midnight, and it was the guards, Al-Haras al-Qawmi, the National Guards. They were like not Daesh today, but there were like sort of militias under the government umbrella, and they did really whatever they liked to terrorize people, especially Jews. So it was really a frightening time. They burst into the house and they threw everything, out from the closets, but obviously they couldn't find anything. Plus, they didn't have a warrant to come into the house, and they didn't say what they were looking for, just for the fun of it.
What happened next?
So next we have 1967. In order to make a long story short, by that time, really, people have started to think to leave Iraq, but unfortunately, starting from 1963, Jews were forbidden to leave Iraq. So we couldn't leave unless you run away with the help of the Kurds or through Iran. At that time, Iran was very helpful, and there were smugglers there who would cross the Shatt al-Arab from Basra, and it was very easy to run away. But my family really didn't consider taking that into consideration of running away. And always my father said, at the end of the day, they will give us passport when we want to leave. So it's like the Israeli joke. Why didn't you come till now? Because we were sitting on our suitcases till now. So, yeah, it took time until we left, but things have, by 1967, even deteriorated worse and worse. We thought that we have seen the worst, but the worst really was still coming. So after the defeat of Arab countries in the Six-Day War, it was very hard for them to take this defeat. So the first thing they would think of, obviously, is to take revenge of the Jews, and those who were ready and who were just in front of them. I know that we were very lucky that there was an idea that didn't materialize, whereby they wanted to put the Jews in a camp, just like the Germans did, and it didn't work because the Mufti of Baghdad didn't want. He refused to agree to this political plan, and he said that Islam really doesn't accept this kind of deeds, especially, the Jews came to Mesopotamia before Islam 1,000 years. So there were really very much
well rooted. Yeah.
Very rooted, exactly, very rooted in Iraq, and especially during the British mandate. They practically run the country. They set up a very efficient government. Yeah,
I heard that there was a minister who was Jewish, a minister of finance, perhaps.
Yes, he still. Can you imagine? Until today, people would know who is serious. Sasson Yechezkel. It doesn't happen in any other country in the world, no matter if it is an Arab or Western country, who would remember him because he was really the best. He connected the deal with the British about selling oil. Yeah, selling the Iraqi oil in gold. Yeah, and not in banknotes. And until today, it's really serving Iraq the best. And he has done, of course, many other things. Among other things, also, he first created the dinar, the banknote. He said no more rupees from the from the Ottoman Empire. And he was very strict, even with the king. With the king has to ask his permission for extra expenditures.
These were the times.
Exactly. That's why people in Iraq remember him till today, when everybody really is, has become a thief in the political echelon, of course, not the people. So they are practically taking all Iraqi money from the budget under a pretext or another. So, yeah, those were the days.
So you were saying that you thought that you saw the worst, but things turned even more horrible
Yes,
than they used to be. What happened?
yes. Jews were being taken to questioning under the pretext that they will be back in 5, 10 minutes. But they took the people without a warrant, or they didn't know what was their guilt. So at the end of the day, some of them didn't even come back. There were cases where people were killed. One of them was in our extended family. He was such a quiet guy. Um, he was returned in a Utah sack. Uh, so it was time really that reminds me of the atmosphere of today of anti-Semitism. Because the regime, in fact, the Ba'ath regime was encouraging all this atmosphere, speaking about fifth column, about the Jews being traitors. Uh, so more than 100 people were arrested in different situations, and gradually uh, the regime built a story. They created a story of a ring of spies of Jews, and it ended up uh, in 1969 on the 27th of January. We woke up in the morning and I opened the television and I was really shocked because throughout the month before, we heard about all these trials on the radio of Jews who were arrested and who were accused of spying for the sake of Israel. And there we were in front of this terrible scene where bodies of Jews were dangling in the center square, Tahrir Square in Baghdad. Not only that, the regime made sure that they bring tens of maybe more of buses. There were a 250,000 demonstrators there cheering and around the bodies. So it was really the worst scene that I cannot forget all my life. And I think it was a turning point. That scene was a turning point in the history of the Baghdadi Jews, because from there, everybody really couldn't expect anything better coming out from this regime. And this ongoing hatred uh, inspired by the Ba'ath regime. So once the world uh, was talking about the cruelty of the regime and coming against it, they didn't want really to be in the light. So the regime started persecuting us quietly. So no more shows and highlights on these, but everything quietly. So they used to kill people in the prison, to torture them, and it was really terrible, terrible. At the end of the day, this pushed me as a person and my family really to aim at leaving Iraq, even though I was accepted at the University of Baghdad, because after the 1967 war, Jews were forbidden from entering universities. That was along uh, with many other procedures against Jews. For example, if you are a Jew and you have a bank account, you couldn't retrieve more than 100 dinars a month, which was nothing. People were well off. They had servants. They lived very well, and the 100 dinar wouldn't be enough to cover their expenses. Jews couldn't sell any properties. And at the end of the day, Jews started to run away and leave everything behind, because it doesn't matter now if you have money or you don't have money, because you want, first of all, to save your life.
Linda, do you remember at that time, so your friends who were Arabs, Muslims, were they aware of this situation? Did they join, this anti-Semitic behavior? Did they denounce? What kind of memory do you have about that?
Well, first of all, I can tell you at the university, students were very friendly, but we were also very cautious. We didn't talk, for example, about politics. This was a forbidden subject.
Well, like Soviet Union. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And they were very friendly, and we were on friendly terms. First of all, because we, the Jews, were more open than other Muslim girls, who could not really talk to male friends in the open. It wasn't very open at the time. So everything was under the table. Uh, Relations between girls and boys. But we, the Jews, were different. So we were always together. And we could talk, we sing together, we went to trips together. It was really, one of the most of the most fascinating memories I have in Iraq, apart from the political side. This was the nice side. People remember, songs that Jews wrote, and we sang them all, together. Even we used to joke a lot, but never talk about politics.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then so there was an end to this idyllia.
Oh, yes, definitely. Because, this situation really was only at the university. It didn't mean outside, because we were so afraid. Because the government has put a secret police to follow every Jew. So every Jew has a dossier. And we were living in a nice area where there were many Jews, but also secret police was after us, to the extent that they would know when I ran away with my brother leaving Baghdad. The same day they would know, and my father was summoned to the police headquarters. They were inquiring about me and my brother, younger brother, where they were asking him, where are they? So my mom was very was very smart. She told him in advance that he knows that he would have to take the oath. He didn't know that we are leaving. Only the same day. It was Friday morning in December 1970 that we woke up early, and he was going out to work. And we told him that we are running away, we are leaving. He was against the idea of leaving stealthily. He really believed that there would be they would give us passports and would let us leave. What things will calm down. Always he. But anyway, so he didn't know where, how, nothing. He wouldn't know anything. So he had to take the oath at the police station. So he didn't feel uneasy to do so, because he really didn't know. Uh, but unfortunately, this only was one incident. The second incident, he was arrested again because he gave affidavit of support for many Jews who were caught red-handed in the same year, 1917, after there was a belief that the Ba'ath government would like to see us just disappearing, leaving the house, with the help of the Kurds. So only very suddenly one day, they caught red-handed more than 130 Jews trying to leave the country illegally. And afterwards, they didn't know what to do, with the public opinion. They didn't want to rise and make it a big issue. So they decided to ask people for affidavit of support. So they contacted my father, the Jews, and he had to bring friends, Muslim friends, who were ready to do such a work, because in this situation, just like in in Russia, you don't want to get into trouble, and
Sure.
even if they pay well. But these were young lawyers who were ready, to take risk because they needed the money. And finally, my father, the second time he was arrested because these people committed not to leave, but they didn't really respect their commitment. Because, I don't blame them, because they didn't want also, to get killed at the end of the day. So they took the risk and left, and left my father with the problem, and they didn't pay whatever they should have to pay afterwards. So my father was again arrested for the first time, and he was with other people who were arrested, other Jews. And after a while, I think he was more than 2 months in the jail, and he sent my mother to another friend, a Muslim friend, a judge, high-ranking judge, and he told her to Mom, go back. Tomorrow you will be back home. And this is what happened. So my mother, after this incident, didn't want to stay anymore in Iraq. She told my father she is not interested in a passport now, to wait ages if they will give her a passport or don't get a passport.
She wants just to run away.
She will just run away. And that's what she did. In August, she ran away. And my father stayed alone, and only to be abducted in 1972. We know from the letters he sent through my aunt in America. We used to change the envelope and send it. He was very sad. He was crying when he wrote the letters. It was very hard for him. And he promised that he has taken all the measures to come. He didn't say, of course, where he is coming. So for years, I didn't want really to accept this fate. I thought maybe he's hiding somewhere, and I didn't want to believe that he was killed. So only after 40 years, I wake up after the demise of Saddam, and I start to look for my father, which ended up in the film, the documentary Shadow in Baghdad.
How did you feel when you finally knew the truth?
Well, I'll tell you, the most difficult problem for me was to believe that my father was killed just because he was a Jew. Because my father was really very friendly with all the Muslims, his friends. He almost spent most of his life with Muslims, and he helped them, people who couldn't pay, for example, for the process. He wouldn't take anything from them. And what I noticed, that the majority of the people that they killed were wealthy people, and my father wasn't wealthy. We were okay, that's it. So I didn't believe that they would kill just for the killing of a Jew. But now in the atmosphere of today, I think it's not a problem to believe it. So once really I could accept it, and once I also could see how many people the Ba'ath regime has killed, not only Jews, you know. So I thought it's a club of all those who suffered from the Ba'ath regime. And when I showed my film in the world, especially in London, and met so many Iraqis, Muslims who have also run away from different regimes, they would cry on my shoulder after the film. And they took it really as personally. They told me, Linda, it's not your story, this film. It's the story of the Iraqi citizen who has suffered throughout his life from different regimes. And
This is
unfortunately,
beautiful.
yes, and unfortunately, nowadays, what's going on in Iraq is not any better because there are the militias supported by the by Iran who are also kidnapping people, killing them, and nobody can do anything about it. It's very sad.
Do you, of course, you cannot tell details, but do you have any like relations in Iraq? Some perhaps childhood friends? Is it nostalgic to talk to them?
Yes, of course. I spent half of my life running away from Iraq and another half chasing Iraqis and trying to be in touch with them because, Iraq is part of my identity, part of my legacy, and my culture. I still cook Iraqi food. I enjoy Iraqi
What do you
music.
cook? What do you like to cook the best? When you want to spoil your kids, your family?
Oh yeah, I spoiled them enough with many, with kubba bamia and kubba shwandar, and with meat and with kubba potato, kubba burger. Iraqis have lots of kubbas.
Yes.
But I think really it's very touching until nowadays. Many Iraqis, because of my work, since I am running the page in the Israeli Foreign Ministry, my Facebook page is called Israel in the Iraqi dialect, and it is the most successful and the best return on investment because people from Iraq are still connecting. More than three-quarter of a million Iraqis are on this page, even though it's frightening now because there are militias also on the page. So they are very cautious not to express themselves. But when I open my inbox, hundreds of messages I get. Not only that, also people call me. Nowadays, it's not a problem. It hasn't been a problem. And I can tell you that it was heartwarming uh, in different situations. Iraqis called me to congratulate me how Israel punished Hamas, how Israel uh, hit Iran because I believe the majority of the people, in Iraq there are 40 million. So even if 10% of the 40 million are with the regime and with the militias, it's still the majority are against. They are still hoping that Jews would come back because they believe that the barakah, the good and the abundance that Iraq enjoyed was also because of the Iraqi Jews, but also because they treated well the Iraqis until 1950. They are so sorry that they lost really such an important faction of the Iraqi society, very productive.
I
Uh,
wanted to ask you about that. I wanted to ask you about that because, this sentiment, the nostalgia for the golden age, it's something that is common also for some of the Egyptians that also
yes,
nostalgically, remember, I don't know, everything from, the movie stars like Laila Murad, and also, of course, the Jewish Quarter, and good relations, with not their neighbors, but their parents or grandparents' neighbors, and so on. But is there an element of perhaps trying to represent the past better than it used to be. I mean, the past wasn't perfect either. We know that.
Yes, but for the majority of the people, I think first of all, these people that I'm in contact with, remember stories told by their parents. There is someone who told me, for example, this story that he wouldn't forget it for throughout his life. That it was a Jewish woman who gave his mother a loan for a long time, and she could buy a land and she could build a house. So I think they still hear these stories from the old people, and it's not only nostalgic, but it's a fact of life. The Iraq situation was much better during the monarchy, for example. All what came after, all the regimes that came after the monarchy were practically uh, practicing all executing all the plans that were set in the monarchy time. So the monarchy time, it was the golden age, indeed. And and I think there was unity also, because at that time, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, and people still remember what Faisal the First said about that, how it is not important what is your religion. First and foremost, you are Iraqi. That's your identity. And I think it's too late now for Iraq, unfortunately.
So it's a
That
bit
this
about.
identity seems to be hard really to put on for Iraqis, I'm saying, because there has been so much blood running between the factions. And
Well, Linda, in ropes, we always say that why we are optimistic, not because it's a human tendency to be an optimist, because otherwise, how can you survive? But also because, when looking at other areas of the world, such as, for example, Europe,
yes,
that after the most devastating war, two wars, that of course, there were World War and they also hit Middle East, but less than they did, of course, Europe. And after all of these catastrophes and millions of lives lost, they somehow, resurrected and they created European Union. So if the Europeans could do it, why can't we, the Middle Easterners, do it?
yeah, I'm indeed very optimistic in spite of what I said, because I live what in my work there is a lot of frustration, but also a lot of satisfaction. This is one thing. The next thing is I always tell myself, don't look at what you harvest, but instead look how many seeds you plant every day. And that's keeps me going, for years now. I've initiated many programs. I was the first one, for example, to write, the first Israeli woman who wrote in Elaf, which is the first Arabic website in the Arab world. I was the first to set up a group of Iraqis trips in Israel, Iraqis coming from abroad, of course, from other countries that can visit Israel. And and I think we had really a ball. It was a lovely experiment, and I do believe in it, and I would like to see myself one day launching it again to other Arabs, not only Iraqis, because I think to meet here people who talk Arabic, who think, who eat Arabic food, it's very surprising for the majority of the Arabs in the Arab world.
Well, it seems that it also was surprising for many Israelis when you came to Israel that they were not accustomed that, Jews would speak Arabic and actually not only feel that, it's their heritage, but love this heritage, love the Arabic music, love the Arabic literature. I mean, this is something that today it seems more natural, but how it used to be in the 70s, Linda?
Oh, it was very difficult. I can tell you that my aunt told me at the beginning, please don't talk Arabic while we are in the club. I used to listen to the Arabic news because I wanted to be an Arabic news editor, so I had to listen. So she always put me down with the Arabic, not loud, please. And obviously the music, but I was surprised to see that there were Iraqi Jews who still maintained their love to the music. They would, gather and sing. But in the public sphere, of course, it wasn't accepted. It was restrained only for those who speak the language, who know about the culture. But also, in 19, I think it was, no, in 2003 or one, I had the privilege of setting up also an association to promote Iraqi Jewish music here in Israel. And at the time, it was so difficult. I remember inviting Dudu Tasa, okay, who eventually really endorsed the music of his grandfather. But when I invited him to hear this music and hear the stories of how appreciated Jews were, it were like Beethoven in Europe. Uh, so he was totally surprised. He thought at the beginning that it's something unrealistic. It's an imagination. So I was so glad that years after, eventually, that Dudu really has endorsed also this music and is so successful. Not only that, we can see that everywhere. I mean, how many concerts in Arabic we have uh, every year? It has become really almost, I don't say mainstream, but it's very close to the mainstream. I had the pleasure only a couple of days ago to go to a women's show called Saharat. 9 women from different origins, all playing Arabic music, not only Iraqi music, but also singing in Arabic. I mean, this is something really extraordinary, and I believe this is really a success and a very good bridge between Israelis and their neighbors.
Well, I was always thinking if you don't speak the lingua franca of this region, which is Arabic language, how you can really become a part of the Middle East. So I think that this is something that Israel for generations is losing this vital bridge to, people who surround us, Palestinians, Egyptians, Iraqis, Jordanians, by basically looking at the language and the culture in a very particular way. So like you have to know the language of the enemy. How about knowing the language of the neighbor?
Yes. Well, of course, there is some reality in what you are saying because also of the circumstances and because of the problem that every time another minister of education comes, he has another thought. I would say that the Arabic language should be, first of all, compulsory, one thing. The next thing is the spoken Arabic is so important. So, when you only focus on the Nahawi, on the grammar and the formal Arabic, it's a problem because even after you learn this Arabic, it's not a practical thing to talk in this Arabic. But I think, the more I talk to Arabic teachers, and I'm in touch really with a couple of them, and I hear the same thing. There are still students attracted to this kind of Arabic, to the spoken Arabic, and now they don't only teach Arabic in schools, which was in the past only language. Now it's not about language, it's also about culture. They would know who is Kulthum.
I
And
would say just in some schools, Linda, unfortunately. للأسف الشديد, just in some schools, that not in the majority of the schools.
yeah, maybe,
I
but
have, kids in this age right now.
yes, no, I'm just talking from my personal experience. I don't claim that I know about all schools, but it's also about the initiative of the of the teacher too. Everything, it comes down to people. If you are, enthusiastic about what you do, just what I'm not really maybe the best example, but I'm not a bad example with all the modesty. When I work, for me, when I do something, it's like I have no other thing to do elsewhere. It's just this that I care for, and I'm really adamant to succeed in it. So I still meet Arabic teachers really who are doing a great job. So I would like to see more of them, of course, and more encouragement from the educational system, of course.
Yeah, Linda, I remember very well when I became a journalist, graduating from Middle Eastern Studies faculty in Hebrew University. I did study Arabic, and of course, I'm very grateful to all of my teachers. But the spoken language, of course, was not taught. So at some point, in the middle of the Intifada, I was all the time in Nablus and Ramallah, in all of these places. And then, I needed to get something to eat, and I'm going to the supermarket, and I understand that I cannot express myself because I was not taught that, and I'm like struggling. بعد إذنكم أنا أريد أن أشتري لديكم حليبا وخبزا. And they were laughing so hard. I'm like, Eda, what is this? Who is this girl? So I do believe very much, that we are part of and parcel of the Middle East, and it's something that just escapes me. Why so little attention is actually given to understanding first the language, the culture, of the people that, again, we can fight with them or we can make peace with them. Hopefully we will. But they're neighbors, for better or for worse, So this is something that I think that just need to happen.
Absolutely. And I think, when people meet, really, narratives collapse. During my, the film, when I showed my film in different places where Arabs were the only audience who came. Not all of them, of course, would agree with the Israeli narrative, but we had a constructive conversation. And when you see I really believe in people to people meetings, and I hope that we have more of them. And I know that there are now many organizations and institutions who are working in this framework, and I hope that we will have more of them now, so that we learn about each other more, because not everybody really knows, maybe only a little, about his neighbor. And then you have really this space where your imagination is working more than the facts and
قول بالعربي.
تأثر عليك، يعني لما الخيال يأثر عليك أكثر.
Influence.
Yeah, influence. Yeah, exactly. I haven't talked English for the last 2 years.
Yes.
Really.
Well,
Yeah.
Linda, you know so many languages, then, it's envy. So in Ropes, this is exactly what we're trying to do. We're bringing together young leaders who are Israelis and Palestinians and Iraqis and Egyptians and Saudis and Moroccans and everybody else. We now had participants from 15 Arab countries. And I can tell you that, when I'm looking at these young people, I hope that, this is the generation that will lead us to something better. Because they would have the tools, they would have, this intimate, close, understanding of how the other thinks, even if you disagree, as you just said. So I think that, without talking, without conversing, without arguing, without having difficult conversations about what's important to us, how do we want to see our region, how do we want to build it, we cannot improve anything, because it's really difficult to improve anything by yourself. just the Israelis, just the Palestinians, just the Emiratis, just the Saudis. We really need to work on this together. So I think that hope is in unity. Hope is in cooperation. Ta'awun. This is something that can, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm optimistic. I believe that this will happen. It's taking more time than we would expect, but from my Iraqi friends, and really, they are so keen, for example, to have diplomatic relations with Israel. They tell me they don't have an issue with that. They want to live in peace. They are so tired of wars, just like we are tired of wars. So I believe at the end of the day, the majority of Iraqis would like to go for peace if they have the opportunity to do so. Of course, without the leaders, you cannot do that.
Yeah. Linda, so before we, finish, I want you to perhaps teach us an Iraqi proverb, any proverb that you like and you want for the listeners of the Ropecast to study. So I didn't ask for it from you before, but I'm sure that you know many. So maybe something simple, something simple that you can teach us.
I'll tell you. أحكي لك يا بنتي وسمعك يا كنتي. When you want someone to hear your criticism, you don't tell him in face, but as if you are talking to your daughter, but this is meant for your daughter-in-law. The criticism, yeah.
So be subtle.
أحكي لك يا بنتي وسمعك يا كنتي. Because, normally you don't come up front and criticize someone. So you just turn to someone else as if it's for him, but it's not. So
this is the Eastern way.
Yeah.
Not going very straightforward.
Yeah, because it's face saving. You don't want really to embarrass the person who is in front of you. That's how you do it.
That's very nice. Yes, that's actually a good idea.
It's really taking into consideration the feelings of your partner. I think, the Arabic culture has a lot of assets, and this is one of them.
You don't shame the other, but you try to somehow to convey the message.
Shame the person in front of you. Absolutely.
Very important. Thank you very much, Linda, also for this very fascinating interview, and also for something new that we learned from you. We hope to host you again in the Ropescast, and really we wish all the best with your endeavors and many projects. You've been listening to the Ropescast, the independent voice of the Middle East. Our guest today was wonderful Linda Abdelaziz Menuhin, an Iraqi-born Israeli journalist, editor, and blogger. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like what we do, please subscribe to the Ropescast. It exists in every podcast platform. You can learn more about ropes at ropes.org. See you next time. Shalom and salam.